No, look, politics ebbs and flows, right? And it's a contest, it's a competition, and you go up and down in that competition, and that's just part of it. I think the way I view it, that this has given us and the India alliance as a whole a lot of space to think about how we go forward. I think the politics in India has fundamentally changed. And so, from our perspective, what we see, and some people would agree and some people would disagree, but what we see is that there's a clash of visions. We don't agree with Mr. Modi's vision. We fight it. And for us, we are trying to now put in place the basic foundation, the basic building block of a new vision for the country. And the Congress Party has periodically done this. You know, it's not the Congress Party. I mean, if you look at the Congress Party and you compare it to other political parties, it has this ability to reinvent itself, right? So you look at the 70s, the Congress Party nationalizes the banks, and then it does a complete U-turn, you know, in the 90s, and then is going with liberalization, with, you know, open economic architecture. So I think there's a design element in the Congress Party that has been put in place by Mahatma Gandhi, and it has certain qualities as a political organization which are very powerful. I mean, I was watching the elections, and you know, there was a point in the elections when we sat down with our treasurer, and he was saying, look, the bank accounts are frozen. Now, you know, how are you supposed to fight an election if your bank accounts are frozen? And so we were like, okay, we're done. That was the reaction, and we really didn't have an answer. But then the Congress Party fought an election with their bank accounts frozen, and has basically destroyed the idea of Modi, right? So it has, and you can see it because when you see the Prime Minister now in Parliament, and I come face to face with him, he's psychologically trapped, and he basically cannot come to terms. He cannot understand how this has happened, right? So it's, for me, sitting in the Congress Party and watching it is quite an amazing thing, because it's a political party, but then it's a whole set of ideas. And now looking back, I mean, I realized that the Congress Party fought the British Empire. And there's a reason the thing survived that. And it's in the basic architecture of the party. Now, sometimes the party goes away from that architecture. So I differentiate between the Congress idea, the Congress philosophy, value system, and the party organization. And they don't necessarily 100% overlap. But when they start coming close, then it starts to become very powerful. So, for example, prior to the election, we kept stressing on the idea that the institutions have been captured. And whenever we'd go, India Alliance would go, we'd stress on this idea that, look, the institutions are captured and we don't have a fair playing field. The education system is captured by the RSS. The media system is captured. The investigative agencies are captured. And we keep saying this, and people were not quite getting it. And we would keep saying it again and again and again, and somehow they were just not getting it. And we couldn't understand why, because we were like, it's obvious to us, it's obvious to them, and something wasn't working. And then in one meeting, one of the people who works with us said, listen, try holding up the Constitution. And so I started holding up the Constitution. And everything we had said suddenly just exploded. So India realized in this election, and really, I mean, not to divide it so crudely, but poor India, disenfranchised India, oppressed India, that India, it understood that if the Constitution goes, the whole game is gone. And so that was the first sort of, I saw it, there was a shockwave, that when I would hold up the Constitution, it would go. Like I could see the shockwave going, that people are like, oh yeah. And then people started coming to me, when you're in these meetings, you'll start hearing from the sides that, they'll bring a Constitution, or they'll start saying it. So what was very interesting to me was poor people deeply understood that now this was a fight between those who are protecting the Constitution and those who want to destroy it. So that was one very strong element. There was also the caste census issue that became big. And that's a fundamental question in India. Share, what you say in Hindi, bhagidari, of the institutions, the structure, the power of the Indian state. So these things suddenly started to come together. And at some level, I was frankly blown away by the wisdom of India.
What the changes in India's population and the differential growth rates.
This city has emerged.
We have a very special guest on the record.
The interview.
The role that the US side played at that point of time.
पूरी दुनिया की नजर.
Assume my phone is tapped, I can probably say hello to Mr. Modi.
आपके भारत पर है.
Episode of Know Your Candidate.
The rising confidence of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Communist China is the greatest threat.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremist.
I'm still a little perplexed by why we.
Your daily dose of news from India and across the world. Cutting edge views and analysis. Tune into HT videos. Click on the bell icon to subscribe.